Hello, lovely. I am so excited that you're here. And you are probably here because you are curious to explore a little bit more about my group mentorship and especially group mentorship in small group spaces. So I usually allow no more than 8, maximum 15 people inside of my spaces, but before you sign up, and that is really, if that is really important to you to know, please just double check, read on the website, ask me if it's unclear. The reason why I'm deciding to make this video is because I myself have made this experience of being part of different mentorship and coaching spaces and realizing that there's so many different ways of doing it, and also realizing that there's nobody else who's doing it like me. So I want to tell you in advance so that you know before you are making your investment what's awaiting you on the other side of the investment. And I believe that that is so important. I only want you to join my spaces if this feels like really, really good to you, if you feel excited about it, if you feel aligned with it, if you feel like this is exactly like the answer to your question or your prayer, that this is what you are longing for, what you're desiring. So, as I said, first of all, my group mentorship spaces are like when it's very like high touch mentorship, I limit the amount of participants to quite a low number. That is very different to some other mentors and coaches that I've been part of or that I've been doing some work with. And the reason for me is because I want you to feel that both that you get a chance to really connect with everybody else in the group. And that's really hard when you have dozens or even hundreds of people in the group. And I want you to feel seen. I want personally to have the capacity to get to know each of you. And I want the others, the other participants also to have a chance to really get to know you. Because for me, that is really, I just love people. I love being in supportive spaces. And for me, when I sign up for a group experience, a group mentorship, it's both about the mentorship through the mentor, but it's also about the group. Otherwise, I would go for one-on-one support, right? Which I also offer. So if you feel like, oh, group is too much for me, please feel free to reach out to me and I will happily tell you more about my one-on-one support. But if you are interested in group mentorship, you are most likely also longing for this sense of we are many. We are like, we are a team. We are we are different individuals that come with different gifts and different perspectives, different angles, different backgrounds, different languages and cultures, and whatever, wisdom, experiences, knowledge. And in order for you to really feel that, it's also important that there's room to get to know the others. And that is something that I've not always experienced in group mentorship spaces. And that has actually made me feel sad and disappointed because, like, how can it be that I've been in a group space for a year and I barely know anyone in that space? That feels really sad for me. And yes, of course, it's also my responsibility. Like, I can always connect to different people. But if you have 200 other people in the room, like, and you know kind of nothing about them, like, where do you even start? Like, who do you connect with? Who do you reach out to? And there's like very little possibility to actually get to know them. that has made me disappointed. And also, it had made me realize that this is so different to how I do in my mentorship spaces. And I'm not saying that the one or the other is better. I'm just saying that they are so different. And I want you to know what it's like so you have realistic expectations. So I believe that when you're joining my group mentorship, you do probably want some of my wisdom and my feedback and my guidance, my support personally for you, and you will absolutely get that. And the way you receive that is a lot through audios, sometimes also through written messages. I usually have, at least at the moment, as I'm recording this video, I usually have a Telegram group for each of my offerings and each of my groups, like a private group space that's just for us. And I drop audios mostly, sometimes also written messages in there, both for guidance for the entire group and also for you as an individual. And there's always room for, like, in that group space, that you can ask your questions, that you can share, that you can ask for feedback or experiences and so on, both from me and the other participants. During our calls, that I find is very different to any other mentorship space I've experienced. During our calls, the focus is really on you, on all the participants. And the reason for that is that most likely when you're joining my space, you already know something about me. Maybe you know quite a lot about me. And if not, you will get to know a lot about me. There is plenty of space in my group mentorship where you will get a lot of my medicine, my wisdom, my thoughts, and so on. And also, like, in order for me to support you at the best of my abilities, and in order for everybody, including myself, to get to know you, like, there needs to be space that we get to know you. And that is a lot in my mentorship spaces inside of the calls. So I invite you, of course, I don't force anybody, but if you feel called to share about your journey, what you're currently going through, what's alive for you, any questions that you have, any experiences, any whatever, you're so welcome to share this. And I invite you to really use that space and to take space. And I actually love seeing it not as you are taking space. In a way, yes, you're like claiming space, or you're, making use of the space that's there. But also, I see it very much as if, or as not as if, like, I see it that you are adding to our space, that you are gifting our space with your shares, with your wisdom, with your words and energy, that you're contributing to us becoming a beautiful group, and like a group that is like a circular group, rather than everybody just having a connection to me or to the coach, the mentor. I feel this circular group feeling and really sourcing from the group is getting a little lost in many group spaces. And I just, like, one of my big gifts is that I magnetize amazing, amazing, amazing people into my spaces. It's an absolute joy, an absolute honor to be with these people in a space. And we would miss out so much if we didn't had room to get to know everybody and to hear your thoughts, your wisdom, your reflections, your perspectives, your experiences. That would be such a shame. So, therefore, I make this space and I allow everybody to to have an abundant space to, or an abundant amount of time and room to share what's alive for them. And I am the one who is opening the room, who is finishing us off. I am holding space. I am guiding throughout the calls. I am also offering reflections and thoughts and so on throughout the call, if that is what you wish for. But not that I'm the one mainly talking throughout the call. And if I have a lot of thoughts and feedback that I would love to offer to you, I would then keep that for after the call and drop an audio instead, so that it's not like taking so much of this time. And I also very much invite everybody else who's on the call to share their thoughts to you, because I really believe that, I am not the only one. Like I said, my spaces are filled with the most amazing humans. And I'm by far the only one who has a lot to say and a lot to give, and like is holding wisdom and can support you. So therefore, I really allow this to happen. And it is just the most beautiful thing to witness that and how this is happening. And as I'm recording this right now, we just had the most beautiful first call with another one of these mentorship spaces with the Soulpreneur Village. And it makes such a big difference. I can see this compared to other group mentorship spaces in the depth of the group dynamic, in the kind of connections that are created when we're having calls like that. It is so different. Like, I have been on a lot of calls of mentors and coaches inside of group spaces, and it was mostly the coach who has been speaking. And then I come out of that call, and maybe there were 5 other people inside the space, or even 10, or even 100. And I basically don't know anybody of them. I haven't gotten to see any of, maybe like on this tiny little screen. I've seen, their face maybe, but I've not had the opportunity to really feel them and to hear their voice, to listen to their shares. And it just is such a radically different experience. And like I said before, I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that that is so, so different. And my mentorship spaces also, they are not like a course. There's not a curriculum. And I wanted to feel really spacious and very individual. I don't want this to feel like a program that you have to study in this space. I, I know that you are most likely very busy, that you have a very full life, and that you don't need more to-dos. You don't need more to catch up with. You already have enough on your plate. And the reason why you're joining a mentorship space most likely is that you want personal support. So instead of, let's say, if you would join Rooted and Free, which is my group mentorship space for women and moms, for conscious, courageous women and moms, you probably don't want to read another 10 books or watch another 20 YouTube videos to maybe at some point, but maybe also not, come to a point where you find something that is an answer to the challenge that you're going through right now. Instead, you're signing up for this group mentorship where you will get personal feedback that saves you all this time and energy to search for answers, but somebody is there, or even a whole group is there, who's like dedicated to support you. Like that is what this is all about for me, or a big part of what this is all about. That I hear where you're at and where you maybe feel that's a challenge. Also, there's also so much medicine in just being witnessed, being heard. Like if you're like me, you maybe also process a lot by just talking it through, sometimes just by sharing it and being witnessed and having other people like listening to you. Sometimes that is when the answers are coming through, right? And that doesn't happen if you're in a self-study course or if you're in a space where just the coach is talking all the time or where you're following a curriculum. And there is, just from my experience, so much beauty in this. And in my experience, also, this is what a lot of people, especially women and moms, are longing for and craving and missing in their everyday life. This feeling of, having a place that you can just drop into. You are probably holding so much yourself, and so many. You're planning a lot. You are carrying a lot, like physically and also emotionally. You're holding space maybe for your children, your partner, clients, friends, whatever. And this is a space where you can drop in, where you know that you are held, where you know that there is people, or at least one person, like, I mean, of course, the other participants, it's not their responsibility to like respond to you or be there for you. They often do though, and it's often a great joy and a great honor for them. But of course, I don't expect that. But I am definitely here. You invested in this space, and I am so invested in you and in delivering what you have paid for and what you are here for in this space. And I want you to know that there is this space that is dedicated to you and your journey, and where you can tap into and receive support from. And yeah, that way you just feel like there is a space that is dedicated to support me. And that is something that I have been longing for many times, even when I have been in mentorship and coaching spaces, that I felt like, okay, I paid for this. I paid to be supported. And many times I invested high ticket. I invested really, really a lot of money. In fact, more money than I've ever invested in anything and anybody else. And then sometimes it's been taking like sometimes weeks or even over a month to receive personal answers or support. And that is not like when I personally sign up and invest in high touch mentorship, I also want to receive high touch support. And I'm just very clear about this, that this is what you also receive in my spaces, because I want to give you the same thing that I am expecting in other people's spaces, and that I find really, really supportive. Because like for me, when I feel in a challenging situation, or when I just feel so much joy and I feel like, hey, I can't quite celebrate this joy with anybody else because I don't know, maybe it's something on our unschooling journey as a family, and many other people won't get that. But this particular space would really understand why I'm celebrating and that I'm celebrating this, and they would be so happy with me and for me. And, I don't want to wait like 6 weeks for other people to celebrate with me or to see me or offer me support. And therefore, the spaces that I'm creating, they they give you this like timely responses, timely feedback, and a lot of space for you to be expressed, and where you can really know that you will be seen and supported and heard and receive personal support. Of course, I'm also human. I I also want to sleep. I also have children. I also have other parts of my life, so I won't sit in our mentorship group like 24/7. Um, but I've never experienced like all people in my mentorship spaces are just so respectful, and they totally understand that they understand all of this. So I don't even feel I need to say this, right? But I want to say, unless I sometimes, if we're in a long group mentorship space, let's say 6 months container, I would put in like one week, one kind of integration week somewhere in between, where I just say, like, I will not check into the group during this time. But you know that in advance then. But other than that, I usually always check into our Telegram space multiple times per week. And I also give feedback multiple times per week so that you don't ever have to sit hanging for a long, long time. And in fact, because we like all these kinds of group mentorship spaces that I'm holding space for, like the women are also the other participants are just so dedicated and so lit up and so joyful about this group energy and the connections, and they are happily there also for you. Usually, like I said, I'm not promising that on their behalf, and I'm not taking responsibility for them, and it's also not their responsibility, right, to do this. But commonly that happens. Like so many times I've seen that, for example, maybe a mom wrote like, hey, it's 4 a.m. and I'm just super exhausted and I can't fall asleep, or I have this and this going through my mind, and they're just writing it out and sharing it. And then, by the time I open my Telegram, I've already seen that somebody else has been responding to them like so lovingly and just witnessing them and holding them. And that's just so, so beautiful. And that's the beauty also of being in a group space, right? There's like typically the people in my group spaces, they also really love being offline and being present with their family and so on. And so do I. But when it's a group, then even if everybody just checks in once a day or once every second day, there will very likely be somebody who will respond to you very soon after you've posted. And that's just so beautiful. And yeah, finally, I want to say that I'm also somebody who loves being connected. I have a really, really beautiful, vibrant, supportive soul village with so many different layers and so many different people and so many different, around different topics and around the entire earth. Um, and my joy is to, or one of my big joys and one of my big gifts is also to connect people and just support my people, the people who are in my mentorship spaces. Like, since I get to know you so well, like you're on my mind. Not that I think about you like from morning to evening, that would also not be beneficial, but I think of you often. And you're in the back of my mind. And so when I see something or hear something through the people in my soul village, I will, and I feel like, oh, that's kind of the answer to what she's just been looking for recently in our last call or in her last post. Um, I will share it with you. Or yeah, it depends on where you're at and what your personal journey is. Like, for example, in Rooted and Free, even though Rooted and Free is not geared particularly towards entrepreneurs, but some women who have been in Rooted and Free have been entrepreneurs or have been looking for a job or something. And then we do this also, or I offer to support people on this journey. So for example, there's been a few months ago, there was one amazing mom in there who was looking for another job as a freelancer or something. And then I shared this, like we created this together. We thought about what she could write and how she could write it, and we were like, we call it inside of Rooted and Free, we call it crowd thinking. We've been crowd thinking together. We've been reflecting back to her what we see her gifts are, and um celebrating her. Like, celebrating is a big part also of our spaces. Yes, we absolutely hold space for all the challenges and so on, but we also practice a lot of celebrating, because I think we humans, and especially women, we do this far too little. um And yeah, then I've been posting this on my social media and in my email, my newsletters and so on, to support her. Or there was another woman, a beautiful mom, Ramona. She does many different things. Actually, I just have her book here. She also recently published her very first book, which I'm so excited about and proud about, even though, I mean, I haven't been writing it, so I don't know if I even have. Oh, I just want to hold this up here. Isn't that gorgeous? Um, it's called Sinnlich, which means central in English. And it's a beautiful book. So, and you can order it through Amazon in case you're curious, or you can just DM me and I'll send it to you. I mean, I won't send the book to you, but I I will send you the link, right? Um, but apart from being an author, Ramona also has many different other talents. So she was um, um, yeah, I always offer the women inside of my spaces different ways of collaborating, and to also use my network that I have to support them on their journey, because that's also something that I've been wishing on my journey, that I thought, like, I would love for my mentors and my coaches to support me and to kind of borrow me their network. And that hasn't happened like super abundantly, to be totally honest. But and that's also totally fine. Again, no judgment. Like, maybe that's also not their intention, or probably it's not their intention, otherwise they would do it. But for me, that feels natural and feels beautiful and supportive. So I'm doing this when it feels good for me. So with Ramona, we then set up an event which I promoted through my social media, my newsletter and so on my website. Then she hosted this event, like, or I hosted the event and she was the guest, so to say. And then it was about her own healing journey and the healing modalities that she has been using. And she's amazing when it comes to the nervous system. And yeah, she's just, I mean, just being in Ramona's energy alone is so healing. Anyways, she then announced in this during this online event that she was, or maybe it was just after in an email or something, I don't quite remember. But at the end of this, or just right after this, she announced that she was gonna host a course. And I believe like almost everybody who was at this event joined her course, her paid course. And I think that is so beautiful. And I'm celebrating her so much and I'm celebrating us so much for, collaborating, for doing this together, for supporting each other on our growth journey. And yeah, that is like a great symbol of what I like my mentorship spaces to be and what I make them to be. I think I will finish off here. I feel I've talked a lot and I think you are getting the picture. So if you feel curious, if you want to be inside of a space that feels richly supportive, where you truly feel seen and heard and supported, like on an individual level, where you feel that you are part of a group that is like the most loving, nourishing togetherness, where you can just be yourself, where you get held, you who's holding so much and so many, then let me know, send me a DM. It takes a village.se on Instagram and Facebook. You can also send me an email on info@ittakesavillage.se or just jump to my website and you'll find all the contact details. And like I said in the beginning, if you feel that you really like my energy and the way I'm supporting people, but you feel that right now you don't have the need or the capacity to be part of a group mentorship space, and you're longing for a space that is just exclusively for you, where all the focus is on you and your journey, then just send me a message also, and I will tell you more about my one-on-one group, no, one-on-one mentorship, not one-on-one group mentorship, one-on-one mentorship. Whatever it is, if you feel this is speaking to you, if you feel that this is the support that you desire to have in your life and the energy that you'd like to have in your life, I'd love to hear from you, and it would be an absolute honor to welcome you in my spaces and to support you on your journey to create a life that feels deeply nourishing to you and your family, that feels aligned with yourself, your own needs and your family's needs and your values, that makes you feel at home, where you can just be instead of trying to perform or to fit into boxes that society created that that were never made for you, and specifically never made for you to thrive. If you want to just follow your inner compass and your inner wisdom rather than following the expectations and the pressures from society, then it will be such an honor and such a joy to welcome you inside and to support you on this so courageous journey. I honestly believe that this is one of the most profound, impactful things and most healing things you can do right now for not only yourself in the life that you were gifted, and the body and the breath that you were gifted, but also for your bloodline, for your family, for all of humanity, and for our planet. Thank you for being on this courageous journey. Whether you step into my spaces or not, I celebrate you so much.